We're going to take a look at high bar back squat versus low bar back squat. In CrossFit, a lot of times, a lot of coaches, a lot of athletes think that there's only one way to squat and high bar is the only way. And that's just not true, you guys. There's many different ways to squat, and it's about which way, one, is pain-free for you if you're having pain with training, and two, what are your goals, right? If you are an Olympic weightlifter, yeah, you probably want to do high bar back squats. But just because you CrossFit doesn't mean that you need to be using high bar back squats, right? Especially if you have some issues and that flares it up. There's plenty of people that we teach how to do a hip dominant low bar squat, and they're much less painful, if not completely pain-free, usually with squatting. So with that being said, the high bar is going to place a lot more stress on the knee because there's a lot more anterior translation of the knee. As you squat down, that knee comes really far forward, right? You start with our hips back, but either way, the knee comes really far forward over the toes, and that tibia angle increases significantly. That's going to place a lot more stress on the patellofemoral joint and even certain parts of the tibiofemoral joint or meniscus or whatever it is inside the knee that might be upset in that position, especially with the loading. And it doesn't place such high demands on the hip. Obviously, you're going to be using some glute max to come out of the hole there, but a low bar back squat is much more hip dominant. The primary driver is going to be the hips. And with that, you're going to go with a wider stance, and your torso is going to lean forward more. So as our butt goes back, right, our head drops forward, and we squat with an increased torso. And now you can see the angle of my tibia here is much different, much less. And then as I drive up, we want our butt and our shoulders to drive up at the same time, back to standing. So you can see that that's going to decrease the stress on the tibiofemoral joint, on the patellofemoral joint significantly, and it's not going to get into those certain corners of the knee that might be sensitive with that loading. So you're just going to have to do what works best for you. So high bar, you know, anytime you set up, you want to have that J-cup set somewhere where you don't have to tiptoe in and out of the rack, but the bar is not way up above the J-cup as well. So start with that closer grip. Some people like to go just outside their shoulders. I like to come with my hands in nice and tight because it makes a better shelf for me. Personal preference. So we get it underneath the bar, stand up nice and tall, good position, take a step back, just one step, that's all you need. Get in your comfortable squatting stance, squeeze your butt, inhale, exhale, squeeze your abs, inhale again, let your hips drop back a little bit, right? We're not overextending our back here because then we're losing our brace. As my butt goes back, my head needs to come back a little bit. If you move your butt back and your head doesn't go forward, you're just breaking in the midline, losing your spinal stability. So, and your brace. So, squeeze your butt, inhale, exhale, squeeze your abs, inhale again, and then start by driving the butt back, and then quickly follow with the knee bend, keeping the knees out over the toes. Hit the bottom, stand up, driving through your heels, nice flat foot, exhaling, forcefully back to the top, squeezing the butt. With a wide bar, a low bar, most people like a wider grip, and that is purely personal preference, right? Just because you see people lifting way out here doesn't mean that you have to be there. You can certainly be there, but you can also be in much closer. It depends on your level of mobility and comfort. If you don't have the mobility to be here, then yeah, it's going to hurt. You want to keep your wrists nice and straight so they're not bent, placing a bunch of undue stress on the wrist and the elbow. Make sure your elbows aren't tucked in or flared way up. And you're just squeezing that bar between your hand and your body. Now you're going to go with a little bit of a wider stance here. Same thing though, we're going to breathe in, exhale. So we're going to squeeze your butt, breathe in, breathe out, squeeze your abs, inhale again. Drive your butt back. Again, not letting this arch and extension fault happen. So as the butt goes back, the head goes forward, knees are out, we're twisting, creating external rotation torque at the hip, bracing, hit the bottom position as we drive up. Make sure that our hip and our shoulders are coming up at the same time, squeezing our butt. Same thing with that forceful exhale. Now, I personally like to leave my thumbs free here. For me, it makes it easier to keep a neutral wrist Plenty of people keep their thumbs underneath the bar though. Come back in, touch both sides, squat it back down. Now, on the high bar back squat, that bar is going to sit right up top here, right on top of the traps. The low bar, we're going to drop that down 2 to 3 inches, and we want it still on your traps, still on the shelf there, but instead of up here, we want it down here. But we don't want to be dropping down below the acromion, down below this bone here, because then you're going to lose all stability, and it's not going to work out well. So leave a comment, guys. Let us know which way you like to squat, why. If changing it up makes better sense for your goals, if it saves you some pain, tag your friends that need to see this, and we'll see you next time.